Hello and welcome to I Want to Grow. And I Want to Grow, as I say every single week, I Want to Grow is all about that. It's about our growth, right? We all want to grow. I want to grow. But with our guest, it's a little bit different. With our guest, it's all about them helping others grow. And we've got Jeremiah here today. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. You've been coming back to Qatar now for 10 years, your second home. Tell us a bit about yourself and explain to everybody what you do.
Sure. Thanks, Steve, for having me. It's a great pleasure. We talked before. I always enjoy the podcast and getting to know and have a real conversation about the things we care most about. And you just told your audience that it's to help others to grow. Of course, by helping others to grow, you grow yourself. You know, it's not a one-way street. You always learn from each other, and especially in consultancy. I mean, as an expert, you have your field of expertise, but you work together with your clients, and your clients are experts too. It's a different skill set. So I think you complement each other, and that's the way forward. And in the end, what we want to achieve is success, being successful. You can measure it in different
Everybody's got your
factors.
Success, right?
Yes,
What is your success to my success? It's all different.
It's all different, yeah.
But that's the tapestry of life.
That's true. Yeah.
So when I remember meeting you and I said, why haven't I met you before? I've been here for 15 years and I don't know about you, but you are somebody special, let me tell you.
Thank you. Yeah. Part of the answer might be that I work not in the front row. You know, I try to keep helping others and navigate them through the territory across the GCC. So it's not only about the culture; it's also about the socio-economic fabric, how people tick and click, like explain the journey of the countries here and the development. And of course, then you have all these national visions and the sector strategies. And you have someone who, like, you see all these shiny presentations, you know, produced by the Big Four, which is good. But then, like, if you are a company, international company, and you would like to participate in the local market, which is a emerging and growing market for the past 20 years. Yeah. It's more than 2 decades now. Yeah. So of course the companies want to be part of it, but you really have to think and find a way how to differentiate yourself from your competition, because it's a highly competitive market. And it's a buyer's market.
I say this all the time, and that's the big thing. It's a buyer's market, and it's a very competitive marketplace, and they just don't realize that when they come here. But let me take you back the 10 years, okay? When you first came here, why did you come to Qatar?
Yeah, I remember very well when I first flew to Qatar. I was a junior consultant with a boutique consultancy company. Let me tell you the story. You know, I was my mentor at university. I studied international relations, political sciences at the Free University of Berlin. And when I graduated, my professor told me, "Hey, Jeremias, I've seen you over some years now, and you should definitely write a PhD." I was also the elected chairman of the German Council on Foreign Relations, so I always cared about foreign politics, but also at this time the foreign trade promotion system and how Germany, like what's the position of Germany in the world, not only politically but also business-wise. Mm-hmm. And so I was very fascinated and interested in the Middle East. So I asked my then PhD supervisor, "Hey, please introduce me to a person who knows the region, not only from a, like, let's say, ivory tower point of view and perspective, but my aim was always to have like a practical outcome when I want to have write a PhD. You know, it's not only to have the PhD. Germans love PhDs, you know, but for me it was really to make a difference and the help thing again. So how can I make sure that the outcome of this PhD is I can have something concrete where I can help others. So he introduced me to this guy, and this guy runs a company, and I interviewed him for my PhD. That was only the research proposal I put together. So I interviewed this guy, And a day later, he called me and he asked me if I want to start as a junior consultant with his company. So I called back my supervisor. He told me, do it, you know. I mean, you won't do your PhD as long as you work for him, because this is consultancy work and we all know what it means. It's long days.
Yeah.
And then you have the weekend, Friday, Saturday here in Qatar. It used to be in the UAE and other countries as well.
Yeah.
So we mostly flew in on a Saturday to be here on a Sunday for the workday and then go back. So it was great. So
nice.
I did this for 4 years, and as Eberhard Sandschneider, my PhD supervisor, told me, I didn't do the PhD in these 4 years, but I learned a lot. And very great thanks to my old boss then, Jürgen Hochrewe, I can say his name, because he introduced me to many stakeholders here. We came to Qatar mostly, but we also had business in Oman, in Saudi. And that was a great journey. And that's how I got to know the country and its people. And I built the trust, shui, you know, you build the trust, you know that. It takes time.
Yeah.
And while I was working for this company 4 years, I really developed the PhD topic in the field.
Okay.
So that's the answer. So I had my PhD topic. And if I may tell you this, it's a next question, but the topic is about Qatari-German relationships. I first looked at Saudi, UAE, and Qatar, because from a German foreign policy perspective, these are the most relevant GCC countries. Of course, the others are also important, but for several reasons, these are the most important ones. And then I figured out that Qatar, apart from a few policy papers, there was nothing written about Qatar. And I thought, okay, how can this be? I mean, it's the largest exporter of LNG, liquefied natural gas. It's geographically in the middle of the world. It's a city-state, small state, but very powerful, soft power, amazing actor. So I said, this is the white spot. This is where I have to be.
I love that saying.
The soft power. The white spot and the soft power.
Yeah, the soft power. Because they're definitely a force. But it's for the good, right? That's the one thing that you can say about Qatar.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're a small state and you don't have a lot of hard power capabilities, that's now like international relations theory. I mean, you have only limited options what to do, you know. And of course, the security is with the Americans. They have the Aludate Air Base here. So there's the security part. But then you can focus on the soft power. And Qatar does it in a brilliant way. Education, culture, sports.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. And they've done their, I remember when it used to be, the Emir was Sheikh Hamad. And all the good work, because before the World Cup, before then, when I came here in 2008, the Emir then, Sheikh Hamad, was doing incredible things on the Middle East and helping those different areas, Egypt, Tunisia, all those places that had the Arab Spring. And he was going in and assisting in trying to solve those issues. Sudan was another one. So they've always been trying to get good at this. And now they got really good at this, where you can see them on the world stage and doing really good things, doing a really good job.
Yeah. That's also something, Steve, what I was intrigued by. Like, we call him the father Emir today, and how he really shaped the vision of this country and like trying to carve out a niche for a small state on the world stage, and very successfully, because as you rightly said, 2008, let's go back, let's have a travel back in time.
Yeah.
So in 2010, Qatar got awarded with the World Cup, right?
Yeah, I remember.
So they had years to build the infrastructure.
Yeah.
But before that, no one really knew Qatar. And I think the main aim of having this soft power event, because football connects everyone, was to put Qatar on the map. And it was very successful.
Yeah.
Because then, like, apart from maybe the oil and gas industry experts, people would know about Qatar.
Yeah.
And even before the World Cup, some of my friends said, you go to the Emirates, right? Because they didn't know, it's a country.
Yeah.
It's not another emirate of the UAE.
They thought it was part of the UAE. And you said, no, not at all.
Come with me, I said.
Yeah.
and a few followed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's how it all started. Like going back to my own, how I came here into the region, and then not only for the PhD. After these 4 years, I worked with the company. I remember very well. I quit.
Right.
Saying, "Thank you. I learned a lot. But if I don't do the PhD now, I will not do it." And this PhD is something...
So you left because you were going to go and redo the PhD?
Yeah, I mean, I worked while I was... I worked on a PhD while I was working, but that was a full-time job. And as I said earlier, being a consultant is tough work.
Yeah.
I wasn't an all-nighter like the finance guys in New York, but close to it.
Yeah.
So, I just said I need full focus on the PhD. So I quit the job. I explained, of course, we had a very nice conversation, and I got the full support of Jürgen also for the PhD.
Nice.
But it took me another 2 years full time, and I did it by myself. And no scholarship, no finance from somewhere. It's like, it was my investment in myself, in my PhD, in my interest. And my interest was to get to know more, and now make sense of all I've learned in the past 4 years while I was working as a consultant, and to make sense from at the theory of political science, and put together a book, and that was published in 2017.
Incredible. You must have had... Did you feel that it was you had to discipline yourself, or was it because it was a love that you went through this pain?
Yeah, pain. That's a good word, because it's pain, and you have these different phases writing a PhD.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
Yes. But eventually, in the end, you see light at the end of the tunnel, and then you know, okay, I can do it, and that's very rewarding. That moment.
Yeah.
Not everyone's. Some people, they give up on the way, but that was never my thing. For me, what helped was a job offer. So I was living in New York by that time, and working on a PhD.
Not a bad place to be living.
Yes. And also, I came here for 6 months to Qatar to conduct interviews, because I interviewed 115 thought leaders from politics, business, and the society at large. So I looked at sports, education, and the cultural world.
That must have been a godsend for you.
Yeah, everyone who has something to say in the time from 1999 until 2013, 99, because by then the Father Emir, he was the first ever head of state of Qatar who visited Germany for a state visit, and that was in 1999.
Okay.
And 2013 I stopped with the research, because that's the handover of the power from the Father Emir, Sheikh Hamad to Sheikh Tamim.
Yeah. And that was a hard thing for him to hand over, or was it? It's like, look at that man, the stature of that Emir, the Emir now. He's just got that. He's got everything, really. He is. I don't know. He's just your. You want to be like him. You want to have his. I want to call it elegance. You want to have his style.
Yeah.
The way that he portrays himself in the public is just incredible.
Yeah, I would agree. Very charismatic leader. I got the chance to get to know him personally, because that brings me back to my journey. When I was in New York, I met again with a gentleman, a Qatari, a gentleman from the royal family, who then became the ambassador in my country, in Germany, and he asked me to join him. To help with a first of its kind public diplomacy initiative of Qatar abroad, and that was in Berlin. It's called the Arabic Cultural House Divan. It's still around. I helped in the first 4 years to set it up, like put together the strategy, get the team, get people in the advisory board, and the Qatari ambassador is always the chairman of the advisory council. So that was a very exciting time.
That's a big legacy for you.
Yes, but it was also a challenging time, because I started in 2017. And by the way, that was then the main incentive in the end to finish it, because I was in New York and I was asked, how long do you need to finish? I said, let me think. Okay, 2 months. So I flew back to my parents' house, and I had 2 months. So I worked very hard, 17, 18 hours, not a lot of sleep, not much sleep, yeah. But it was amazing because I had a very clear goal to finish it, and then I started.
How do you do that? How do you put those 17-hour, 18-hour days into something that really? Do you need to? Is it? How do you drive yourself? What was it that drove you? What was it that gave you that determination?
I think what still drives me is knowledge. Like I'm very interested in the world and how everything works and how everything is connected in one way or the other. So my name is Jeremias in German, and I was named. My dad named me after a Swiss author called Jeremias Kettner, and he was living in the 18th century. His most famous book was The Spider, Die Spinne. And that was like somehow of my motto in my learning journey. You know, the spider web is a very fascinating thing to build, also from an engineering point of view. But and then I always loved Goethe, the German poet and author. And he once said, like, was die Welt im Innersten zusammenhält. That means what holds the world together in the really going to the center of what it holds together. And that was always what I wanted to know. You know, how everything like works together, like this spider web. You know, if you like touch the spider web at one corner, it will have an effect here. Yeah.
And life does, right?
Life does, yeah.
I picked up on something when you said Qatar is your second home. Is it really your second home? Have you got to that stage where Qatar, for me, definitely, 100%. But when did you realize this?
I was always so pleased by the hospitality and the role of the family. And I think this is one thing we can learn if we speak about what the West can learn from the East and how everything comes together here in Qatar. I was always very intrigued by this. And to your question, the second home, I would say so. And when I found out, because I spent more and more time here. I lived here for my research stay. It was only six months, but I come almost every month. And now we are considering as a family also to spend the European winter here in Doha. We had some meetings during Qatar Economic Forum. Like I'm thinking about this for a longer time now, and things take time to make a decision. I didn't move here yet for good, but it's definitely something I consider because I'm a family dad, so it's a very secure place to raise children.
I was just going to say
education.
that to you. Why would you say that it was going to be the place that you were going to bring your family up? Yeah. And you're starting by saying it.
Yeah.
So many different things.
But I still like, I was born and raised, I was born in Stuttgart and raised in Schwäbisch Hall, a small town near Stuttgart. So from the southwest of Germany, that means I'm a mountain guy as well. I do like the mountains.
My
like
business partner Felix is from Austria. Yes. And that's what he says. He says, I just can't replace those mountains, the air, the just going out there and riding his mountain bike all around. He said, you can't replace it.
But you don't have to choose. You can have best of both worlds.
You're correct. Best of both worlds.
Yeah.
So with you learning all of this, you've got an incredible network that you've built up over these years, and you see so many companies coming over here, foreign companies coming over here. What are those things that you've learned or you've gauged over those years for companies to come here to establish?
Yeah, I think we already said it's a buyer's market. It's highly competitive, so you really have to make a difference. And I think the best difference you can make, no matter what sector are you from or what you're looking at business-wise, you definitely should make sure that it's not only the right narrative, the right story you tell, but of course it all goes back to the right solution. I mean, if you have standalone technology, which can really solve a problem, but it's not only copy-paste, but it's also you can show that you thought about how to adapt this technology to the local conditions. I think that's a way to start with, and then also not only bring it and say, okay, the sheikhs have the money, they should pay for it, and I bring the technology. It's very like. I think I wouldn't see it differently. I would say, hey, it's a partnership. It's a true partnership, and we can learn from each other. Like, look, it's oil and gas. Here, it's mainly gas. So Qatar gains vast experience in the gas sector and LNG and what you can do in the future with this technology as a transformative or a source of energy, which can also be used for hydrogen, for example. So they have all this knowledge.
Yeah.
So we can learn from them. So it's again, it's not a one-way street. It's a partnership at eye level, and I think you it's not only playing around with buzzwords like knowledge transfer, like you bring the capital, we bring the technology, and we do a little bit knowledge transfer, we will show you how it works. No.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to work together. And I think both sides bring like something valuable at the table, and then it can work.
I try to explain to clients that are coming here to use different keywords, okay? They mean the same thing, but it's sometimes one client I was talking to the other day, and they said, we want to educate. Sometimes that can be a little bit looking down, right? So use different words like we want to knowledge share. We want to give our experience. We want to share. We want to empower.
Yeah.
Okay, and there's different ways to look at things, but I agree with everything that you said. This is a competitive marketplace.
Yeah.
Okay, Qatar, one of the richest countries in the world per capita. And you see them, but there's so many people that want to come here, all thinking that it's the promised world. But what they don't realize is that they're going to have to compete with so many different nationalities and so many different people. When you're going to be competing on so many different levels, and cost is going to be one of them.
Sure.
So you better get used to that. And people don't care about what your reputation was in your own country. It's like they want to know, or we want to know what you're going to do here. It's all about that kind of what gift you're going to bring to the table. And I think that's when you look at it that way, then you've got a big fighting chance. But it is a great place to come and start your company and have a quality of life like you can have.
Yeah, sure. And there's nothing wrong about to educate. But I wouldn't frame it this way, It's like not me teaching you how to do things. It's rather like learn from each other and also accept the differences, acknowledge them, and don't see them as a threat, but as a very good chance to learn and get a different perspective on how things can be done. Because going back to business and how you do business here is different than you would do it maybe in other parts of the world.
Yeah.
So I think if you wouldn't accept that as a starting point, it's not for you here. No. And it's not for everybody. Going anywhere in the world, it's not for everybody. But what I like here is the one thing I like is it, and I keep on saying this, and you can elaborate on this, is that I always tell every one of our clients that we deal with is to say, look, just remember, you always offer your hand of friendship. You offer that first handshake, and then you'll see people open up. Then you'll see the friendly side of everybody. Yeah. It's like, and don't think it's because you got to do it. It's just because a lot of the time people are a little bit shy, and it is as simple as that. Is they're shy to kind of make an introduction. So don't be afraid to go and put your hand out, because everybody will take your hand and shake your hand. And that's the love of this place. And that's what I keep on saying to our clients is just make sure you do that. Make sure you're continually doing that, because you never know who you're going to shake hands with. Yes. No, I would agree. But even if you are keen and open-minded and you shake a lot of hands and you shake the right hands, maybe it still takes time to build trust. And that's good, because I would really like double check and do my own, like, let's say, reputational due diligence for everyone in business, because it's all about reputation. It's a very small state, so it's also my responsibility as the bridge to check not like both sides. You know, if I bring a client here, I would do I've developed a fact sheet, a list of questions I send to the client, and if he cannot say yes to these questions, I say, look, then I cannot really help you. And this is just to save his time and my time and the time of maybe, let's say, the economic free zones here or the local investors. Because in the end, yes, it's about business and we all want to be successful, but you shouldn't look at it purely transactional. This is not how it works. So I think to build a relationship takes time.
Yeah.
You need to get to know your partner.
Yeah, and it won't come overnight. There is no magic wand. It's just hard work, dedication, 18 hours a day.
Not working that much anymore.
You've got a young family now.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. If you count this in, maybe yes.
Yeah, but it has massive benefits. And if you can compete here, if you can get your company to a level where you've got a nice lifestyle, you can do it anywhere. I feel that because it is a competitive marketplace, but you compete.
And you grow with the country, with the people.
Exactly that. And I think that's the benefit. What's your experiences? What do you tell your clients, or what would you tell any clients here right now, what they should be considering if they were going to be coming here?
First of all, they should consider if they have enough time and also the human resources. Because if you take, for example, SMEs, I mean, it depends if your client is a big corporate or your client is a small and medium-sized company. Even if it's a SME which has, let's say, 500 million euro or USD turnover per year, or even over a billion, there are some companies where the executive board or chairman level is extremely busy and needed at home.
Yeah.
So he maybe wouldn't have the time, he or she, to travel to the region like often, or even spend not only flying in and out. Like, let's say, okay, can you schedule some meetings? I have 2 days. That's maximum what I can give you. I say, no, this is not how it works. And then can you please send me the schedule? Let's say 2 months ahead. Yeah, Steve, you laugh. You laugh because you know this is not how it works. First, I would say at least come for a week, come for the work week.
Yep.
You know? And then, of course, let's schedule some appointments, but then let's see who is in town.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I can promise you, whoever is in town will meet you.
Yeah.
Because that's the hospitality part as well.
Yeah, of course.
You know, and that's the respect.
Yeah.
But I cannot tell you in advance. But that's the first commitment you really have to bring to the table, is your time, appreciation, and I think this is how you can start.
Yeah.
And this is sometimes difficult to match the style of business and schedules, East and West. Not saying that the people here, they are also extremely busy, because it's a small state, like the thought leaders, they wear so many different hats, they sit in so many different boards, let alone the social obligations with the family and the extended family. So I think there's little time. So it's all about matching the window of opportunity time-wise.
And that's something important that we kind of tend to look at, is finding the right partners. So if you are finding a local Qatari and you're finding an expat, then it's very important that they've got the similar interests, right? And they're trying to achieve the similar types of things. It's no good going into somebody that's got an expertise in one industry and you're bringing another industry over. Get them to fit in some way. Get them to kind of have some experiences together. And I think that's important too. But the key to it is just making sure that you enjoy the journey.
Yeah, but the Qatar Economic Forum is just a very good example. I brought 30 people this time. Some of them are my clients, some of them maybe prospective clients, others are just have an interest in the country and its people, and they are eager enough to spend the time here. And everyone was very, very positively, not surprised, I would say, but very just spoke in a very high tone about the
Yeah.
experience and the forum and how it was organized, but also the opportunities to network and engage with people. I co-hosted with one of my clients. I co-hosted 2 events, one at Henat Salma Farm, a beautiful farm.
Oh.
My friend Fahad Alatia.
No.
I have to make a little advertisement.
Oh, dear
because
me.
this
Yeah,
is an
let's
amazing
do-
farm. You know, that's
it's an
where we
amazing
met.
farm. I've been there several times now.
Yeah.
I think it's breathtaking.
Yeah.
And it's, oh, dear me. I would be going there tomorrow morning.
Yeah. No, and really, the Doha is the place to meet people, to network, to get inspired.
Going back to this trip, because you had a delegation of 30 people. That must have been an 18-hour day, because you had all those people to keep happy and make sure that they were engaging.
Yeah.
That was a lot of work from your side.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mention it, because sometimes I compare it. I lived in Berlin for a long time, and Berlin is famous for its nightlife. But I always compare it to, you know, when a party is good, who is responsible for it? The bouncer in a nightclub, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes he's rejecting people, but it's not because he says, "Oh, I don't like your face" or whatever.
Yeah.
But he makes sure that the right group of people is in the room together. So it's all about how do you say, like, bringing the right people together. And then it's easier because, yes, of course, I make sure as a host that I have time for everyone in the room. But by choosing the right people, I know that they will mingle with each other and they will speak to each other, and there will be new alliances and new partnerships developing by itself. I just have to initiate it.
Obviously, you've done some meetings, but what would you encourage other people to do when they come to Qatar? What other things did you put on the agenda with the Qatar Economic Forum?
Of course, like for people who come there for the first time, they should see the forum itself. It's amazing content. Unfortunately, I didn't have the time to follow the content.
You wouldn't
because
have
I
had
had
time.
back-to-back meetings.
Yeah.
But yeah, then it's a brilliant opportunity to schedule meetings at the sidelines of the forum or at the Fairmont Raffles. Like all the big organizations have suites and they have meeting rooms there, so it's very convenient. So you schedule your meetings there, you go up and you meet people.
Yeah.
And that's the way it works.
Pretty impressive rooms there, right?
Yeah, that's true. Good view.
Oh, impressive.
Yeah.
But it was an impressive time, and it was good to meet different people.
Yeah, but apart from that, Steve, let me mention this. I think it's also important to have breakouts, and that's why I did these 2 events, and one was at Henat Salma Farm, because it's a very relaxing and welcoming atmosphere. So you see the stars, you sit at the bonfire, you have this amazing organic food.
Yes.
And we did 2 workshops, one about strategic foresight and one about corporate venture building and the ecosystem for the private economy and startups and VCs, and here in Doha, Qatar, the region and beyond. And then we had a second networking event at the Net Members Club, which is also another very beautiful location.
I think you stayed there.
Yeah, I do stay there.
Nice. It's a nice place.
It's a convenient place.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
You go to the Malibu restaurant, just plug in the Malibu restaurant when I'm in the next. But they're nice places.
Yeah. Apart from that, of course, Qatar has a rich cultural landscape. Sheikh Al Mayasa built all of these museums, and now for her it's all about the creative industry. And just at M7 where we record this podcast, we have the Design Biennale, who is organized by a friend of mine. So there's like every time you come, there's something to see. That's for sure, you know. And you would be surprised because it's international artists and architects, but it's also merged with local talent. And I think that's what Qatar is doing in a beautiful way, the gap between supermodernism and tradition. So they really try to keep the tradition alive and also not only conserve it, but like how can you mix it with Western influence, with the East, the Asian countries' influence. So it's very interesting what can develop, because in the end it's about to reduce stereotypes, right? For everyone it's cozy to stay with what he or she believes to know about a region. You know, I said like, I know these people, they are so and so, because you are fed by certain media narratives.
Yeah.
So I think the best way to learn is to come and see it with your own eyes, ears, and whatever senses.
But you talked about M7. That's where we are right now. You look at the whole building. It's there to help and encourage those talents in the fashion and design perspective. And that's what they live by. You've got a magnificent building. You've got an incubator in the fashion and design and technology. You've got all these areas where people can sell their products or show people their products and show people what they're doing. They're always developing. They may be looking at, you say, the traditional side of things and also looking at new things, but they're also developing that young talent coming through. And that doesn't necessarily mean just Qataris. They're looking at the whole spectrum, right? They're looking at anybody that's here in Qatar. They want to develop that talent. And it's one of their 2030 visions is to educate. And going on to educate now, look at what they're doing at the Education City.
Yeah. No, it's all about to have a fruitful environment and incubate and nurture the interest of your homegrown talent, but also to mix it with international people. And then you have, again, best of both worlds. And this is also how science works. You know, it's an international community and everyone can contribute. It's about the big thing. It's not about a single individual person.
Everybody's going to think right now, oh yeah, you're just singing about Qatar. What else would you do, right? What else would you do about Qatar? Okay, there's frustrations like everybody else. Oh, the traffic lights stay on a little bit longer than everywhere else I've ever been.
Then go to Saudi if you want to complain about traffic. Right now, it also will change.
But let's talk about that. Yeah. It's kind of, when you think about the things here, I don't know anywhere in the Middle East that it only takes you 20 to 30 minutes to get to your next meeting. Very convenient. And it's kind of it's a pleasant drive to those places. The infrastructure is all in place. There are parks, there are kind of green areas. Yeah. Oxygen Park is one of my favorites. But you've got all of these areas that they've really thought about how to look after people and get people through. Okay, so we're singing the praises, but there are a lot of things to sing about, right? But let's go back to that company and why you think that Qatar should be a good option for them.
Yeah. I mean, another thing I tell my clients is, I call it the Majlis principle, and we all know what a Majlis is. It's a very important place. Every big family got the Majlis, and it's a place where you talk about almost everything. Social things, family affairs, and let's business.
Explain briefly. Yeah. A Majlis is one of these rooms that you've got normally the head of the family that's going to be in this room, and what happens is everybody sits around. The seniority ones will sit up at the front with the owner of this property, and they will talk, and then it will kind of it'll all funnel down again. People will leave, people come in, but every time somebody comes in, they go round to everybody in that room and they shake hands and they say hello and they do the pleasantries. Okay, this is what it's all about. And then you sit sometimes next to somebody that you've never met, but you'll talk about relevant things and they'll ask you questions about your country, and then you might share a meal with them.
Sitting on a
pleasant part. Very pleasant part. They will offer you knives and forks, but you want to be part of it. You want to eat with your hand and share the cultures. It's a phenomenal place, the Majlis, and it's where the business gets done.
No, it's an exceptional experience and also a great honor if you're invited. And that would also tell you how serious someone is to really want to become close to you.
Yeah.
I think getting invited to a Majlis and then you can come, it's just an open place. If you're invited once, you just pop by, say hello, and that's beautiful. And in fact, I want to, we did it with the Arabic culture house, the Divan. It was a lot about Majlis culture. In Europe, you would rather call it a think tank, but we designed it like a Majlis, so an open place where people can meet. And now I live in Vienna with my family, and just had an idea and with a friend of mine here who also lives in Vienna to bring and build a Majlis in Vienna.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
that's nice.
Yeah, yeah. Because more people should know and also have the opportunity, not only here but also in other cities around the world to experience it.
Because it's the family and it's your associates and it's that it's a wonderful feeling. But okay, let's go back to those questions. So what are the benefits of somebody coming here to set a business up?
Yeah, I mean, now it changed a lot also from the governance. You have all the economic free zones. That means you don't need a local partner anymore if you don't want one. I would say it's still good to have a local partner.
I still say that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you could have a 100% foreign ownership, whatever you do. And you can even do it as a 100% foreign ownership from the legal perspective. But then you can do project by project. You can have local partners, and you need local partners.
Okay, let's go back to that one. Because I'm on your side, right? Where I say consider having, because everybody wants to have that 100% foreign ownership. Okay? I can understand that too. But what's the advantages of having a Qatari partner? There's many, right?
There's many. I would say network. I would say guidance. You know, I mean, it's very difficult to understand as a foreigner. And look, I really know. I would say I know Qatar and its people. You lived here for a long time. You would really say you know. But what I also say, even that people call me an expert. There are things which I just accept, and I know that I cannot maybe 100% understand. But that's also the beautiful part. And I don't have to agree with everything here, but I accept how things are done. Yeah. But I also always tell that it's important to put your values, belief systems, etc. forward and say that's my red lines. And it's okay, but then it's clear communication.
Very clear. And
you know, it's you shouldn't try to understand all of it, but you should accept that things are different, and that this acceptance is the starting point to create something beautiful.
And I always say that if they're going to bring value, then you've got to expect the cost. If you're going to bring a top person into your company, it's going to cost you. But I look at it, the cost versus benefit, right? And if that benefit is huge, which it potentially can be, then you need to consider it from a business sense.
Yeah. And not only what you can do here, because, I mean, compared to other GCC markets, first and foremost, Saudi is a bigger market, of course. Qatar is a small market. So they try to cater their niche sectors, and they did a brilliant job. If you look at finance, and they will build more around that. But I think there's the market is saturated to a certain extent. But what I at the moment what I do with a few of my clients is not only look at Qatar as a market and look at the limitations of the local market, but really what the free zones also promote, like understand Qatar as a business hub for Qatar, the region, and beyond. So we have to think all together, what is the beyond really? That's the next big question. That's the next step. What is the beyond? How can we make use of free trade agreements of the several GCC countries with other parts of the world, countries like India, Asian countries, China, European countries, the US, etc. How can you use the three main assets Qatar has, which is the geographical position, the state-of-the-art infrastructure, you mentioned it several times because it's convenient and it's around, it's there, it's fully built, city for 5 million people, and the cheapest energy worldwide. So that's what you have now, and now you have to make a decision what you want to achieve together. But I think it's not only here in Qatar, but what maybe could be built out from Qatar to cater and service global markets, or let's say develop countries which are still under development, like Qatar, any European country. What can they do together in a third country?
Yeah. But look at the free zone. That gives you that power, because it is power, because they'll give you 20 years of free corporate tax.
Sure, there's massive incentives.
Massive
again, there's a lot of competition between the different GCC countries, because I mean, if you look at the benchmarks and what the different free zones do, no matter if in Abu Dhabi, Dubai, or in Riyadh now, it's like they all want to get most of these FDI inflow. But then you have to think extra hard. Like, what do I have to offer apart from the financial or tax benefits to convince people to come? It's not only about the money. If you have top talent to come in, to work together with your homegrown top talent, it's not only about the executive level, the senior, the C-level people who maybe you can bring them over. It's about their families. So you have to work on the visa system, make it more flexible. Think about like maybe older people. Is it possible to have a retirement plan in Doha as an expat? Because many people would like to live here. They would love to live here. You know, when they get older, they don't have to hang out in Florida. They could come to Doha.
But the beauty of this is that the one thing that we can say with Qatar quite confidently is that they are constantly addressing and improving, right? They're never standing still. They're always looking on how they can improve, how they can improve the little detail things sometimes, like we were just saying, that can make a huge difference when it comes to that family being with you. And I think it is exciting.
But this is another point, Steve. This is another point, because I think what some people get wrong, they think it has been like this forever. And in fact, this is all very new. The development is so fast. And like just try to imagine if you would be a Qatari person. 50 years ago, it was a different country, different landscape. So all this change, what does it make with you? You know, have to have all this influence to be a minority in your own country. I mean, they do a pretty good job. If you would have this socio-demographic situation in one of the European countries, I think we would see super right-wing populist parties making advantage of it. And here it's very welcoming. Of course, it's a different political system, and they have all the wealth to provide people with basically all they need. But still, it's a very secure place. And thinking about that, it's very important to understand that it's maybe God-given. They have the natural resources, but it wasn't like this forever. It's only for a little time. And what the local very thoughtful leadership is doing is how to sustain and further develop. This is the question. And as a foreigner, again, and this is the point, and then I stop. I think you should not come here and say, "Oh wow, beautiful, beautiful." But this and that, you know, it's like always see this. I'd like to say we Germans are the best in it. You know, we look at the beautiful villa and we say, "It's a beautiful villa," but do you see this little crack? I found a little crack in the wall.
Don't get me started on the British. We're the worst.
Yeah.
But you're exactly right. But you know, but that's unfortunate because people do get envious and they're always looking at sometimes the bad thing. They don't. They're looking at on how they can improve things. The biggest thing that I say and this is what I say to people in business, and I've always said this, the hardest thing, and I've seen some big companies, everybody's got the same problem, is the hardest thing to do in business is grow. The hardest thing, and everybody out there listening to this now are going to agree with that, right? So you're thinking, but then think of it from a Qatar's perspective, and you're growing a country, and all those pain points that you're having to overcome. And trying to keeping it all balanced, the crime rate 0, right? So how do I keep that whole thing balancing, spinning? How do I keep all those things? So that's what I like to say to people is just comprehend for 1 second how they're making sure that everybody's lifestyle is the best it possibly can be, and that's what happens, right? Am I exaggerating right now?
No, I would say it's. I think it's no exaggeration if you appreciate what's already achieved so far and try to think how you can contribute to even further achievements together. That's what it's about.
I know that you're going to come on the podcast on a regular basis. I know that. It's going to happen, right? But I want to ask you some other questions. I want to look up to you because you're such a nice guy, right? And you are working with some really, really big clients, companies and individuals. With all that experience that you've gained over the years, what advice would you give to a 15-year-old self of yours?
Don't be impressed too fast. It's in the end, we are all human beings. If you start your career, maybe you are impressed by positions, because positions come with power. But in the end, it's a position, and you better should see who is behind that position. Who is the human being? Is he a true leader, or is just someone who is lucky to have this position? But the day he leaves this position, he is not so impressive anymore. And I think over the years, what you really learn is to have a better feeling about. In the end, it's to you can only be successful if you work with the right people, and I think these are the people who share the same set of values, and this you have to decide for yourself. I can't help you with this.
I've got two things that I give advice to. One is one of my advices is don't run on emotion when you come here. Keep emotion locked away.
It's a good one.
At all cost.
But with the emotions, may I ask you something? Do you mean don't take it personally? There's so many factors involved.
I say
maybe there are some setbacks, and you shouldn't take it personally, right?
I wouldn't say that. I would say the majority of those things is everybody's going to say yes to you. That's the one thing. Everybody's going to say yes to you. You are going to be flying as high as a kite. You're up there, and then all of a sudden they don't answer you, and then you're on that roller coaster, but you think your life is changing every single day, every single half an hour, every single hour, that it's changing, and you've got to bring yourself back to reality.
Don't be excited too quickly, but also don't be frustrated, right?
Don't be frustrated.
Take what it is.
100%. And I find the other one is make sure you do your market research.
Yeah.
Just do as much. And if you think you've done all your market research, then do some more.
Or call me.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, because there's a lot which you find online, and there's public sources. But I think you also, again, that brings me back to the Majlis. Make sure you spend time in the Majlis. Make sure you talk to people and you listen carefully, because if you ask the right question, you will get answers. And maybe it's the hardest intellectual task to listen properly, but that's also part of success. There is information, and sometimes you have to read between the lines, but this is your responsibility. You have to listen.
Yeah, it's funny you should say that, because I done a call with somebody with a very serious investor, and he was asking for 5 million, and the investor was asking him questions, and he didn't answer them directly. He didn't answer the questions. This is a guy that's going to give you 5 million. Listen to what he's asking you and answer it. And I think that's another thing I would advise to give to people. As you just said, just listen to what people are saying. Listen to what and give them the answer to their question. And it's as simple as that sometimes. As simple as that, and it could make all the difference. It could make a $5 million US dollar difference.
Not only in life, not only in business, in life in general.
In life in general, your life's going to definitely change on those figures. Yeah. What do you hope for? You're saying that you're considering coming here and spending half of the year here. What is your hopes for Qatar? What are you looking? What are the exciting things that you foresee?
I think the biggest hope is that Shui, the country, finds out what are the, let's say, 3 to 5 main sectors they really want to make a difference, apart from the soft power, but purely from a business perspective. Like if you want to build manufacturing in the Qatar free zones, what kind of manufacturing you want to bring here? If you at a Qatar financial center, I think theirs is a bit different already, non-regulated and regulated business and all the consultancies there. But I think I'm very interested, and I have good hopes that there will be good guidance by the Amir and key people in this country to decide what are the main sectors we really want to make a difference in the world together with international partners.
100%.
Yeah.
But there's some, I don't know which ones to choose, right? I haven't got I know the health tech, fantastic. You said about manufacturing, the free zones, unbelievable, but not just the free zones, but there's other opportunities there. You look at sports. Sports is going to be here forever. And it's like they've got an infrastructure, they've got the stadiums to do what they ever, and they've got to a stage where they know how to operate these types of events now. And they just seem to be getting more and more events, and they're just going to get better at it. Yeah. We're going to get better at it.
But what else would I hope for? Of course, peace and stability, because that's the key element for all the countries, for all the Khaliji countries in the region.
I want to ask you, you're such a nice guy. It's like you really are a nice guy. Very calm and soothing. Your energy is just really is great. Who was your inspirations? Who were the ones that have molded you? Because the inspirations are so powerful, right? Who was been those inspirations for you? Because you seem like you've got it sussed.
Yeah, that's now very personal. But if I really look back, because I always looked for powerful people, like also especially male leaders, and it all brings me back to my father. You know, unfortunately, my father is suffering from a chronic disease. So I've learned from a very early age that health is the most important thing in life, and the base for everything else.
That's what everybody says, right?
So, but like, who's inspired me the most? In the end, it's my dad, because he's not a stock market CEO, a blue chip company, or a minister or a president. His life was books and music. Very highly intellectual person, but he's the strongest person of all I got to know, because although he had this he has this disease, he was always very nice to us, and he didn't blame others for his own fate. And yeah, so it's my dad. It's of course my mom, who cared about the entire family all the time. I have a twin brother, identical twin brother. That was quite a journey, or still is. Yeah, he's becoming a dad very soon as well. So yeah, apart from the family, of course, I have some people who inspire me, but people who would really like to help others, and you get a reward. It's very like rewarding. Of course, you do business, and you need to get paid for your services and for what you can add to the table. But in the end, it's about also to help others to succeed.
I don't want to go any further on that note, because that sums you up. You are such a nice guy. And what you're doing for the ecosystem, what you're doing for Qatar, what you're doing for people in Qatar is true credit to you and to those inspirations that you said your mum and dad. I hope they're proud watching this video, because they deserve to be, because you're a great, great guy. Thank you so much for coming on our podcast. Thanks for sharing your story. And I hope it's going to be one of many.
Thanks, Steve. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much indeed. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. I hope it's given you some tips. I hope those companies that are thinking about coming to Qatar, it's giving you an idea on how you can start shaping your journey when you come here. You're going to have plenty of opportunities to get in contact with Jeremias. We're going to put all the contact details up. At this point, I also want to say thank you so much to Workington. Without Workington, we wouldn't have this wonderful studio to work with. And to be quite honest with you, I come to a wonderful place. When we come here, I feel the energy in these co-working spaces, and they do so much to help others grow. And that's exactly what we want to do on the podcast. So I'm going to thank them there, but I'm also going to thank you. And I'm also going to ask you again, just keep on pressing those likes, keep on pressing the subscribes. It makes a difference to everybody that's participating in our podcast. So thank you very much for listening. Until next time, thank you and bye for now.